Welcome to the Smarketing Show, hosted by award-winning B2B sales performance coach Rick Lambert, who has been selected by many of the world's most recognized companies to help them market and sell to win. Let's join Rick now.
Welcome to today's Smarketing Show. I've got Jay Suggs on today. Now, look, if you're on LinkedIn and you need a little bit of inspiration, I'm telling you, follow this guy. He'll give it to you regularly. He talks a lot about lessons that his grandmother has taught him. And for those of us who've had great experiences with grandparents that taught us, what their experiences were so we can implement in our lives, you know what it means. And Jay's on today. He's the Global Director of Diversity and Inclusion for Johnson Controls, but a former salesperson as well. Jay, thanks so much for joining me today to share your thoughts.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, Rick. Appreciate it.
Well, I love what you do online. I was excited to ask you a few questions. We'll get into maybe three things, if we could cap them at three, that your grandmother taught you. But first, maybe you could speak about what you see in today's sales professional and advice you would have for people getting into or maybe in the sales profession right now.
Well, one of the things I want all new sales professionals to know that there's nobody on the planet designed like you. You are your niche. Your extension or your brand is an extension of your personal experience and your journeys. So it's not about following a brochure or following, in a rule book. It's really about redefining what that role is for that organization or that product and services that you're providing for. How do you infuse you into those solutions so you could connect better with your marketing, your clients, and your customers? It's very, very important to understand that your flow, your cadence, your swag is unique to you, and you have to embrace that. So you got to fully be whole of who you are.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think so many people get caught up in trying to play a role that's not them or fit a corporate suit. Absolutely. And they forget about something that, there's a reason the company hired you. There's a reason, you bring something to the game, and you got to find that. The quicker you do, I think the better off you are.
Yeah, Rick, you got to look inward. I think that's the hardest part. You got to look inward, right? Everybody has their own super strength, right? Everybody knows what their power is, and you just got to hone that. You got to hone that in. What the next rep does is going to be different from what you do, right? I think a lot of times with new sales professionals, they kind of copy and mimic because they're not quite sure of who they are.
I agree. And I we do a lot of work around personal branding right now, which I know is maybe the outer shell, but I know you speak a lot about really what's going on inside you and what drives you, right, and what your passions are. And, again, I just love your messages on LinkedIn. You talk a lot about lessons that your grandmother taught you. And I happen to have been very fortunate to have very awesome grandparents that taught me principles. There's an old saying, age and treachery will always outdo youth and skill. And although I fought things that my grandparents taught me at the time, I realized now, holy cow, they were right. You obviously shared a very special relationship with your grandmother. You talk about her a lot on LinkedIn. If you could limit it possibly to, maybe three things that were key messages, could you share them now?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, listen, how much time do you have? But I'll break it down to three. One of the things she used to do when I used to get ready for school, right? Just like a normal boy, I would be all disheveled, rushing out, running late. And she used to stop me right at the door. She says, when you leave this house, you represent me, you represent yourself, and you represent what you stand for. So when you think about how that relates to sales, when you go out into this market, who do you want to be known as, right? What extension of the products and services and the solutions that you represent? What do you want that prospective client to know about you when you walk away? So you always are representing yourself, the solutions you provide, but more importantly, you are representing what you're about. What is your core competency? So when my grandmother used to say, represent yourself, represent what you stand for, and you represent the family, it's the same thing as in sales. What do you represent? What do you want to stand for? One of the other lessons she used to say is like, Jay, you're either going to be a leader or a loser, but son, you can't be both, right? Leadership doesn't mean you need overhead. It's not about staff. It's how you lead yourself from within, right? Your actions and your efforts dictate your outcomes, not your wants and your desires. The third one, which is one of my favorites, I repeat it to myself like every day: conviction is contagious. She always used to say that to me. I used to be in a lot of sales meetings where I felt like the sales professionals had no pulse. They were just really trying to show their brochures and their pretty little marketing flyers, but that was it. Here's the thing: people will sign off on your energy way before they sign your contract. So remember, conviction is contagious. It's that energy that connects you with the prospective client, not your pretty pamphlets, not your little song and dance, your energy, what you stand for. And that is an extension of your brand as well.
You know, we've been reading from the same playbook, buddy. I tell our team, and I coach salespeople for a living, and I always talk about how people will, in the first 3 seconds, pretty much make an assessment of you and whether
Absolutely.
or not they want to do business with you before you even get into your product. Because I'm a bit of an old schooler, maybe, in thinking that people do buy from people, unless it's a commodity on some e-com site. I think young salespeople underestimate the value the person brings. And, I used to always say, Jay, you got a deal on the table, okay? And you got a great sales rep, average product. You got a good sales rep, good product, or you got a bad sales rep, with the best product. I don't know if I said that right, but in the end, I ask audiences like, who wins the deal? And inevitably, right, they always say the best salesperson will win regardless of their product, with few exceptions. Hey, the one thing I like about your messages, they're very organic, they're raw, passionate, inspirational, to say the least.
Right.
You've done a lot of video, and a lot of salespeople right now I'm working with, I'm trying to get them off the fence to get on video. And
right,
a lot of people are sitting there, they watch videos, they'll watch you, they'll watch me, they'll watch so many great people that deliver messages, but they won't step in. And they, for some reason, I think it's for fear of failure. They don't want to make a mistake or tarnish. Could you speak briefly about why you do video and what that's done for you on LinkedIn specifically?
First and foremost, Rick, I just want to say, on the other side of fear is always growth, right? And I think with the videos, I don't consider myself an influencer, but I've lived and I've been through some experiences. And Rick, you and I both know we done failed a ton of times, right? So I do these videos because I want people to understand. I want them to be able to resonate that those fears that you have, those insecurities that you have, I also have them too. The thing about sales is that you constantly have to keep motivating yourself. Your sales leader is not going to do it. The organization you work for is not going to do it. It is literally like conditioning. When you first start lifting weights, it's real hard and your body's sore for 30 days. But after a while, you start lifting and all of a sudden the weight gets lighter. That is what you need to do when it comes to social media and videos. But here's the thing about video. It's about connecting, and it's about being that common thread that connects us all. You can do a video and just talk about your products and services, but I can assure you that you won't connect with people if you're just yourself. Just be yourself. Show up as your full, authentic self on video. That's it. You can talk about your insecurities of a deal that you're trying to close. You can talk about your frustrations of trying to have a meeting with a prospective client. And I'm telling you, it'll be boundless as far as the opportunities in the community and the network that you can build. I've shared a lot of my insecurities online, and then I'm not saying it's about therapeutic, but at the same time, it helps others go, you know what? I had that same thought. So what I would say is be your full, authentic self. And I want to say one more thing, Rick, because somebody asked me just last night over dinner, what's the difference between a top sales rep and an average sales rep? And I explained it just like this. An average sales rep will see an obstacle and go, oh my God, why is it there? I don't want it there. This feels uncomfortable. A top rep will look at that same obstacle and doesn't care why it's there. They're going to go around it, under it, and over it. That is the difference. That is the difference. You got to push even when you feel the pain. You got to persevere even when you have uncertainty. You have to keep pushing. I think the best sales professionals are those who've been through some stuff in their life. When I interview sales professionals and I look at their resumes, I go, yeah, that's pretty. That's a nice resume. Fundamentally, I know your dates are correct and where you work. That's great. But tell me something. Tell me about that pain. Tell me about some hard stuff you've been through that's not on this resume. Tell me where you're from. Tell me about your upbringing, because I feel like we're all governed by 5 factors: family, community, experience, adversity in every sense of the word. And I think those factors is universal for everybody. It's universal for everybody. So when I'm interviewing sales professionals, I want to know what you've been through. I want to know, when you were in it, did you even think you were going to get to the other side? And when you got to the other side, how did you feel? Because obviously you made it because you're in front of me interviewing. That's what I want. That's the magic.
Agree. You know, you talked about, everybody's unique and you got to, work for you. We had a guy on the Smarketing show, National Hockey League player in hockey, and he talked about how an inspirational coach one time talked about, guys, when you go out on the ice, don't play for the crest on the front of the jersey, play for the name on the back, and think about the people that got you to where you are today, right? And I think, that confidence you talked about, young sales reps are intimidated sometimes because they may not have all the answers, but sometimes, as we, again, I can use a hockey analogy, you just got to throw your heart over the boards and your body will follow, because we're all intimidated by new things. And, but just like championship teams, there's a mindset of the sales rep, the elite seller you spoke to, and the champion teams, that when they step on the field, they feel confident they're going to win. And that takes a bit of time sometimes, but hey, if I could ask you first, thanks so much for your notes on, what today's salesperson should think about. I never met your grandmother, but she seems like such a great coach for you and for so many through your videos. Would I be okay asking you to close out today's Smarketing show with your standard closing that I think is just awesome, how you end every one of your videos? Could I ask you to do that?
Oh, absolutely, Rick. Not a problem. Have a strong and productive week, and remember, be relentless in all that you do, and you will always increase your odds to win. Jay Suggs, out. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it.
Follow this guy on LinkedIn. He's good.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Smarketing Show. If you enjoyed today's show, please like, share, and subscribe to get the latest B2B insights to help you market and sell to win.